Is that fan on? Off. Srimad Bhagavatam, Shri Sri Radha Madam Srimad Bhagavatam 5.4.8, Canto 5, Chapter 4, Text 8. Athaha Bhagavan Rishabhadevaha Swavarsham Karma Kshetram. What is that? Is it coming? Anumanyamanaha Pradarshita Guru-Kula Vaso Labdhavarair Gurubhir Anugyato Grihamedhinam Dharman Anushikshamano Jayantyam Indradattayam Ubhayalakshanam Karma Samamnayam Natam Abhiyunjan Atmajanam Atma Samananam Shatam Janayamasa. Synonyms. Atha, thereupon, after the departure of his father. Ha, indeed. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Rishabhadevaha, Rishabhadeva. Swa, his own. Varsham, kingdom. Karma Kshetram, the field of activities. Anumanyamanaha, accepting as. Pradarshita, shown as an example. Guru-Kula Vasaha, lived at the Gurukul. Labdha, having achieved. Varai, gifts. Gurubhih, by the spiritual masters. Anugyataha, being ordered. Grihamedhinam, of the householders. Dharman, duties. Anusikshamanaha, teaching by example. Jayantyam, in his wife Jayanti. Indradattayam, offered by Lord Indra. Ubhayalakshanam, of both types. Karma, activities. Samamnayam Natam, mentioned in the scriptures. Abhiyunjan, performing. Atmajanam, sons. Atma Samananam, exactly like himself. Shatam, 100. Janayamasa, begot. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. After Nabhi Maharaj departed for Badrikashram, the Supreme Lord Rishabhadev understood that his kingdom was his field of activities. He therefore showed himself as an example and taught the duties of a householder by first accepting brahmacharya under the direction of spiritual masters. He also went to live at the spiritual master's place, Guru-Kula. After his education was finished, he gave gifts, Guru-Dakshina, to his spiritual masters and then accepted the life of a householder. He took a wife named Jayanti and begot 100 sons who were as powerful and qualified as he himself. His wife Jayanti had been offered to him by Indra, the king of heaven. Rishabdev and Jayanti performed household life in an exemplary way, carrying out ritualistic activities ordained by the Shruti and Smriti Shastra. Please repeat. After Nabhi Maharaj departed for Badrik Ashram, the Supreme Lord Rishabdev understood that his kingdom was his field of activities. He therefore showed himself as an example and taught the duties of a householder by first accepting brahmacharya under the direction of spiritual masters. He also went to live at the spiritual master's place, Guru-Kula. After his education was finished, he gave gifts, Guru-Dakshina, to his spiritual masters and then accepted the life of a householder. He took a wife named Jayanti and begot 100 sons who were as powerful and qualified as he himself. His wife Jayanti had been offered to him by Indra, the king of heaven. Rishabdev and Jayanti performed household life in an exemplary way, carrying out ritualistic activities ordained by the Shruti and Smriti Shastra. Purport by Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Being an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Rishabdev had nothing to do with material affairs. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam 4.8. The purpose of an incarnation is to liberate his devotees and to stop the demoniac activities of non-devotees. These are the two functions of the Supreme Lord when he incarnates. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said that in order to preach, one must live a practical life and show people how to do things. Apani achari bhakti shikhaimo sabare. One cannot teach others unless he behaves the same way himself. Rishabdev was an ideal king and he took his education in the Guru-Kula. Although he was already educated, because the Supreme Lord is omniscient. Although Rishabdev had nothing to learn from Gurukul, he went there just to teach the people in general how to take an education from the right source, from Vedic teachers. He then entered the household life and lived according to the principles of Vedic knowledge, Shruti and Smriti. In his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1-101, Srila Rupa Goswami, quoting the Skanda Puran, says, Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatra Vidhim Vinam Aikantiki Harer Bhakti Rutpata Yaiva Kalpate. Human society must follow the instructions received from Shruti and Smriti Vedic literature. Practically applied in life, this is worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead according to the Pancharatrika Vidhi. Every human being must advance his spiritual life and at the end return home back to Godhead. Maharaj Rishabdev strictly followed all these principles. He remained an ideal grihastha and taught his sons how to become perfect in spiritual life. These are some examples of how he ruled the earth and completed his mission as an incarnation. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmelitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So this is the example of Rishabhdev. He entered household life by first accepting brahmacharya under the direction of the spiritual masters. Sometimes, especially nowadays, it is, devotees think whether I want to become brahmachari or grihastha. But that is not the case. Whether one becomes brahmachari or grihastha or vanapasa sannyas, one must go through brahmacharya life. Especially if one is young. Of course, those who have come to Krishna consciousness after entering into grihastha ashram, that's another thing. But the natural course of activities or the proper way to do it is brahmacharya and then grihastha. There's no such thing as a choice. So, he accepted brahmacharya life and brahmachari Guru-Kula. Now, Kula means family. Guru-Kula means the family of the Guru. So, Gurus, as long as one is qualified, Kiba Vipra Kibanyasi Shudra ke nanoy, Jai Krishna Tattvavit Shai Guru hoy. So a person who knows the signs of Krishna, he is a Guru. It doesn't matter whether he is coming from a Shudra background or whether he is a brahmachari, grihastha or sannyasi. It doesn't matter. Jai Krishna Tattvavit Shai Guru hoy. That is a qualification. So, Guru can be even from the Grihastha ashram. Like, for example, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was preaching, he's Acharya. Of course, later on he accepted Babaji Vesh, which is Paramahamsa, sannyasi. But he's an Acharya and he was in family life. So, that is also not prohibited. And when a person becomes a disciple of the Guru, he is considered as one of the family members of the Guru. That's why it is said Guru-Kula. What is Guru-Kula? Kula means family. Guru-Kula means family of the Guru. And actually, right now, I'm just drafting an article for the magazine titled as Gotra Dharma. So this Gotra, people, the descendants of the many rishis. But factually, nowadays we cannot ascertain There's no way to really verify. You know, the real purpose of Gotra is to keep intact the religious principles. That is the real purpose of Gotra Dharma. And there is an article written by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur called Acharya Santan. Santan means family, dynasty, Vamsha, Kula, Jati. All these words refer Parivar. All these refer to the same family, dynasty. Acharya Santan. So the sons as well as the disciples, both of them are considered the Acharya Santan. Sometimes in Bengal, the Santan they refer to as the seminal descendants, and in Sanskrit is called Shaukra descendants. Shaukra Santan and Daiksha Santan. Daiksha means by Diksha. They become family members. And in Bengal, the Shaukra Santan is titled as Santan, and the Daiksha Santan they are referred to as Parivar. We are also considered Rupanugas, the descendants of Rupa Goswami, in his family. Likewise, there is Nityananda Vamsha. Of course, they have been unscrupulous people who are so-called seminal descendants of Nityananda, who do not have the same opinion as Nityananda Prabhu. They are having their own ways of doing things. They are trying to claim proprietorship over or monopoly over the Nityananda, descendants of Nityananda. So that is exactly the same as Asura Varnashram. There is Asura Varnashram and there is Daiva Varnashram. Daiva Varnashram means the Varnashram as ordained by Krishna, which is Gunakarma Vibhagashah, Chaturvarnyam Maya Srishtam Gunakarma Vibhagashah. According to the qualities and work of such a person, he is classified according to in the Varnas and Ashram. Now, Asura Varnashram means considering only birth, or considering birth as the only criterion for such a claim of being a Brahmana or something like that, or caste. So that is actually not supported by any Shastra. There are scriptural references. In fact, the book called Brahmana and Vaishnava by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he explores all the evidence of Shastram that even suggests that Brahmana is a person whose father and mother are from Brahmana families. Such verses there. And he quotes that Shastra. Now then he explains, how can you ascertain that the father and mother are actually Brahmanas? First thing a Brahmana family is that he has to have Garbhadhan Samskar. If he is not done, it is immediately Shudra. So if the father has not undergone, or his parents have not undergone, this Garbhadhan Samskar for him, then how can he be identified as Brahmana, and how can such a descendant be considered as Brahmana? Also, then he quotes many things, actually many angles. Every angle he covers in that book. He also says, he quotes from the Srimad Bhagavatam, I think 11, forgot the number. Let me see. This one. 11:17. Which verse is it? Here in the summary, it is stated here. See, to find the exact verse. In Satyuga, the first age, there was only one social order, Hamsa. In that age, men were automatically dedicated to pure devotional service from their very birth. And since everyone was perfect in all respects, the age was called Krita Yuga. The Vedas were then manifest in the form of the sacred syllable Om, and the Supreme Lord was perceived within the mind in the form of the four-legged bull of religion. There were no formalized processes of sacrifice, and the sinless people who were naturally inclined to austerity simply engaged in meditation on the personal form of the Lord. Can you help me find out in this 11:17 where is the exact verse that Hamsa was the only Varna in Satya Yuga? So, 10. No, this is Brahmana, isn't it? This is Brahmana. 10 is it? 11:17:10. आदौ कृतयुगे वर्णो नृणां हंस इति स्मृतः कृतकृत्याः प्रजाजात्या तस्मात् कृतयुगं विदुः. In the beginning, in Satya Yuga, there is only one social class called Hamsa, to which all human beings belong. In that age, all people are unalloyed devotees of the Lord from birth, and thus learned scholars call this first age Krita Yuga, or the age in which all religious duties are perfectly fulfilled. So, there was one Varna. And then they were divided into four in Treta Yuga. That means, how did somebody become Shudra, somebody became Vaishya, somebody became Kshatriya, and somebody became Brahmana? By qualities. So by qualities they were divided. Otherwise, they were not actually sons of some Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. They were all Hamsa. But the descendants became polluted, and then according to qualities, according to the influence of the three modes, they were classified. So at different ages, at different times. And also another point that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, that the Brahmanas of today, so-called seminal Brahmanas, birthright Brahmanas, have also turned from other Varnas. Like in Chandogya Upanishad, there is Satyakama Jabala, the Gautam Muni's disciple in the forest. So he is an example. And similarly, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur quotes so many examples of people who have from Vaishya, Shudra, or even lower, they have become Brahmanas by Diksha. And now his descendants are considered birthright Brahmanas. So you see, their own ancestor was not a birthright Brahman. He became a Daksha Brahmana, and then now they are professing that, we are, so birthright Brahman. So every way he pointed out so many faults in the birthright system of Brahman. This Asura Varnashram. So the real Gotra, or the real Santan, the real thing is, like even Achyuta Gotra. Why we are Achyuta Gotra? Especially Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Vaishnavas are called Achyuta Gotra. Because actually everybody is Achyuta Gotra. Because Krishna says, Aham bija pradah pita sarva yonishu kaunteya. Of all species, I am the father. So if he is a father, then we are all one family. Vasudhaiva kutumbakam. That's why it is actually everybody is Achyuta Gotra. But those who do not identify themselves as Achyuta Gotra, those who have fallen, Chuta, they are classified according to their different, uh, you know, um, divisions of influence. I mean, what to speak of this? Even in animals, there is breeds. Like dogs, there are breeds. That is also kind of Gotra. I mean, what is that? Lineage. And there is mixture, Sankara. So, Guru-Kula means the actual family of the Guru is the disciples. Now, sons can also become disciples, and there is an example of this in the Bhagavad Gita. Imam vivasvate yogam proktavan aham avyayam vivasvan manave praham manurikshvakave bravit 4:1. Here, the father became the spiritual master for the son. The important word here is proktavan praha abravit. 3 times the word is used, spoken, spoken, spoken. So sometimes it can happen. Like Brahma's son is Narad Muni. Vivaswan, sun god's son is Vaivasvata Manu. Manu's son is Ikshvaku. In that way it was coming. So sometimes it may be in the family. And in fact, previously this was maintained. That's why a Kshatriya's son used to be Kshatriya and he used to take over the throne. It was not nepotism. It was not nepotism. Nepotism is just on the criterion of birth. But here, by quality also. For example, in movie industry, this is very prominent, nepotism, right? Some great actor will be there, and then his son will also come into the thing. Maybe he's not a good actor, he'll be a flop. But sometimes it so happens that he's also a good actor. And there, he is given respect not because of his son of somebody, but because of his own acting skills. So that is that is a natural way of classification. And let's see this verse. Kula. Now, because with the Guru-Kula we have. So this is from the Haribhakta Sudhodaya. Yasya yat sangati pumso manivatsyat satad gunaha swakulardhyai tato dhiman swayuthanyeva samshrayet. Swakula, one's own kula. Now, what is that kula? As the qualities of a nearby object are reflected in a crystal, one similarly takes on the qualities of a person with whom he associates. Therefore, in order to increase one's devotional sentiment in his own line, a wise person should take shelter of those who have the same temperament. So this is Swakula. Then Swajati. Swajati means people of the same interest. Although Jati is also by seminal descent, like for example in Jagannath Puri you will see this. In the building of the Rath cart or entire service of Jagannath in the temple, like cooks, they have their family and all the descendants become cooks. And then those who construct the wheels of the chariot, they do that. Those who do the cloth, the flag, they do that. Everybody has a specific, so that is their jati, that is their occupation. But it only is relevant if the descendants also perform such service. So Swajati, this is also explained in this verse, very important verse. Srimad Bhagavat Arthanam Asvado Rasikaih Saha Sajati Ashaye Snigdhe Sadhau Sangah Svato Vare Sajati. In fact, the 3:19:17 but says friendship should be cemented between persons of the same interest. Svajati is actually coming from here. Sajatiya, similar. Ashaye, endowed with desire. One should taste the meaning of Srimad Bhagavatam in the association of pure devotees, and one should associate with the devotees who are more advanced than oneself and who are endowed with a similar type of affection for the Lord. So, even though one may be born in different families, if you see, everybody becomes, later on in life, everybody becomes grouped together by interests. You see, in the same family, one may be a doctor, one may be a cricketer. Now, the cricketer, he will go to cricket club, he associates with such people. Doctor, he associates with such people. So, you see, even though he is coming from the same family, according to their interests, they group themselves automatically, and they take up such work, such interests and everything. So this is happening all the time, and devotees should associate with people who are similarly interested. Devotees, and especially sadhav sangha swato vare. Vare means those who are more advanced than oneself. Those who are excellent. So that is Guru-Kula. Now, a guru's son can also become a proper descendant of the guru, if he is similarly, just if he considers himself as a disciple, and just like you see Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur had other sons also, and most, I think, all are devotees. But of course, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was the most exemplary. In fact, there was one more. I think Lalit Prasad. He was always at loggerheads with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, always fighting. He used to keep all the Bhaktivinoda Thakur songs and everything for himself. He would, he did not want to like share, so many kind of politics he was doing. Now, this we have seen also in the Advaita Acharya's descendants. What happened in the Advaita Acharya's descendants? प्रथमेटा एकमत आचार्यर गण पाछे दुईमत होइलो दैवेर कारण. At first, all the followers of Advaita Acharya shared a single opinion, but later they followed two different opinions as ordained by providence. Of course, these 5 verses are very important actually. Read them. केहट आचार्य आज्ञाए केहट स्वतंत्र स्वमत कल्पना करे दैव परतंत्र. Some of the disciples strictly accepted the orders of the Acharya, and others deviated, independently concocting their own opinions under the spell of Daivi Maya. Here, Daiva Paratantra. Under the superior direction of Maya, of course, who is under the direction of Krishna. Jai Shri Radha. Now, even in the previous verse, the word is used, Daiver Karan. Daiver Karan, as ordained by providence. There were 2 different opinions. Why would the Lord want 2 different opinions? Why ordained by providence? So, it is not that the Lord actually wants, but when such inclination is detected by the Lord, then He will separate them from the devotees. Everybody becomes groups according to their own interests, isn't it? So those who are against devotees, they will also group themselves. So He separates them from the devotees of the Lord. And that is also good for them. Not as good as, of course, being in the association of devotees. But if I stay in the association and I am simply offensive, then it is better that I am thrown somewhere outside so that I am not thinking about the devotees, and then my offenses reduce. At least I don't commit offenses. So to do that, to help in that way indirectly, He will throw him outside of the association of devotees. And naturally such a person won't want to associate with devotees. Therefore, we should also examine this in our own life. if my interests or if my allegiance is going away from the devotees, if I am having some other opinions, other things to do, then I should know that somewhere Krishna is throwing me out because I have a different opinion. It's not that, oh, temple is in Maya, therefore I will be Krishna conscious outside. Of course, sometimes it so happens that the entire institution becomes corrupted. Like I think recently Prabhu shared one story from Mayapur where the whole Gurukul was hell. So, such things, of course, it is completely corrupted from the top down. But otherwise, especially under able guidance, a temple is a place where we can actually come out of Maya. But if I see only faults, then to protect me, Krishna will throw me out so that I don't meditate on the faults of devotees. So that is Daiver Karan. So when Krishna says, what is that? In the 16th chapter, 19th verse, I throw them in the lower abominable species. That is actually Krishna's mercy. Tanaham dvishatah kruran samsareshu naradhaman kshipamya jasrama shubhan asurishveva yonishu. Those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, I perpetually cast into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life. And they also are according to the qualities, right? Every animal, every bird, every aquatic and tree, they all are according to the modes they are classified. So similarly, in the human beings also, those who are differently influenced by modes, they associate differently. So Rishabdev, he showed example. He showed example that he went to Guru-Kula. So from this we can understand the word Kula, Jati, Vamsha, Santana, Parivar, all these actually point to the spiritual culture. I mean, going back to Krishna. Kutumba, actually. Although, when one becomes away from that Krishna consciousness, then it will be Kutumba Bharaneyanava. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, I am capable of producing hundreds of children, but I am not confident if I can make everybody a pure devotee, so I will refrain. So, it is not that, but another thing, Srila Prabhupada says that we are Saraswatas because we are descendants of Saraswati Thakur. Saraswati Thakur, what is that? That's why we say Namaste Saraswate Deve. The disciple of Saraswati Thakur is our Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So, Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane. So, what is the function of this family of Saraswatas? Gauravani Pracharane. To teach or to preach the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That is, otherwise we don't belong to Saraswat family or Rupanuga family or Gaudiya family. We don't belong. Maybe by name we belong. Just because we have taken Diksha. But if I don't act on that, I'm not actually belonging there. So, Gauravani Pracharani, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarani. Attacking the Nirvishesh and Shunyavadi philosophies is the function of Saraswata family. That is the Guru-Kula. Now, although one may have, like many devotees, they have come in only Grihastha ashram, they haven't gone through Brahmacharya. But still we belong to the Guru-Kula, the family of the spiritual master, Prabhupada. We are all disciples of Srila Prabhupada. So that is still Gurukula. So we have to act on that principle. And if we don't, like Advaita Acharya's, I think I have to go back there actually. Huh? Advaita Acharya's family, what happened? They went, sorry, they became deviated. They deviated. So you see, some of the disciples strictly accepted the orders of the Acharya and others deviated, independently concocting their own opinions under the spell of Daivi Maya. आचार्यर मत जय शय मत सार तार आज्ञा लघि चले शैट असार. Sar means essence, asar means useless, exact opposite. The order of the spiritual master is the active principle in spiritual life. Anyone who disobeys the order of the spiritual master immediately becomes useless. Now, this active principle, if you know some pharmaceutical knowledge, you will know that the active principle in anything, in a medicine, what is the active principle? What is the thing that is actually acting, and that is called the active principle. In Ayurveda also, there's a lot of mixture and everything, but the active principle in the drug, in Western or Ayurveda, if you see, so that is the thing that acts. So similarly, in the Kula, in the Gotra, the real active principle is the order of the spiritual master. Anyone who disobeys the order of the spiritual master immediately becomes useless. And from such useless people comes the misconceptions of Asura Gotra, Asura Varna, Asura Kula, Asura Jati, Asura Kutumba, Asura Vamsha, Asura Santan. All these come from those kind of useless descendants. असारेर नामे इहा नाही प्रयोजन भेद जानिबारे करे एकत्र गणन. There is no need to name those who are useless. I have mentioned them only to distinguish them from the useful devotees. There is useful devotees and there are useless devotees. Useless devotees good for nothing. Like, the other day, Nimanita Prabhu shared in the Krishna inspiration. We want warriors like Arjuna, or we want no one. We don't want sitting down rascals, Vaishnavas. Prabhupada said that. What is that? I don't want sitting down rascal Vaishnavas. I want Arjuna or I want no one. So that kind of we have to be serving. In the Viraha Ashtashtaka, I think Viraha Ashtashtaka, by Prabhupada, one of his poems of Vyasa Puja. And he says there are disciples, so-called disciples, 4 classes: Guru Bhogi, Guru Tyagi, Guru Drohi, Guru Sevi. 4 classes of disciples. Guru Bhogi means one who enjoys the property of his spiritual master. Now, everything that exists in the temple is actually the property of the spiritual master. If I enjoy, I am Guru Bhogi. Then Guru Tyagi, one who gives up the Guru. Or, Guru Tyagi is one who straight up gives up the Guru. Guru Drohi is even more dangerous. He maintains the facade of a disciple, but actually his intentions are separate, and he is a traitor. Traitor is somebody who acts as your friend, but actually he is your enemy. Guru Tyagi, on the other hand, he directly gives up everything and then goes back to material life. He is an honest rascal. Guru Drohi is worse. He will be inside the community and he will propagate nonsense. That's what happened in ISKCON. That's what happened in Gaudiya Math. That's what happened in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. Actually, every Sampradaya has these problems. Sakale neha mahata yogo nashtah parantapa. Krishna said, I have imparted this to the sun god and it has been coming down, and in the course of time it became lost. How it became lost? By these sitting down rascals who don't preach, who don't have the fire. Prana ache jar shay hetu prachar. Those who have life, they will preach. Those who are spiritually dead, they have no potency to preach. They cannot preach. Such people don't actually belong to the Guru-Kula. Although officially they may be, but by action, no. So we have to become useful devotee. We have to serve the spiritual master. So we cannot be Guru Bhogi, Guru Tyagi, Guru Drohi, Guru Sevi. And there in that same poem, he writes, Prabhupada writes, addressing his god brothers. He says, you all are great sannyasis. You are great tyagis. You have given up, you have renounced so many things. You have renounced everything. But then now if you renounce the order of the spiritual master, what kind of renouncer are you? It's a scathing poem to his god brothers. It's a scathing message to his god brothers. So quite strongly worded. So that is the point. So we have to always be concerned with essence, not the packaging or not the namesake. That's why Hinduism is what it is today. It has just become they have become concerned. They have concerned themselves only with the crust of rituals and some just official, just like very namesake following. The core of it is not there. The knowledge, the culture, everything is just dwindling. Yesterday only I found out. I did not know this. Maybe many people knew that in Singapore the registry of marriages, ROM. I thought that was the governing body for marriages, but no. There are two: registry of marriages, registry of Muslim marriages. ROM, ROMM. So, and they have their own Muslim rules there. Everything listed down. Their whole, whatever terminology of Muslim terminology is there in the Singapore law. Now, why did that come about? Now, whatever is their religion, they have stood for their religious principles. And even governments have given way. Of course, if you see Indian history, Indian law, you will be shocked. It is basically catered for Muslims only. The Waqf Act and similar other. So, the thing is, they are, in fact, civil law or any law, whatever even existing as so-called secular law, has its origin in religion. You cannot have a law without religious background. For example, there is so much law on family, right? On taking care of the children, on the economics, on the house, how you purchase a house. Everything is based on family. Now, this man and woman should marry and have children. Where is it coming from? Marriage, where is it coming from? It's coming from religion. Otherwise, there's no such thing as marriage. Dogs have children. Why there is marriage? There is, order. Societal order can be, the fabric of society can be kept if these things are there. So what people are doing nowadays, the countries, the law-making process, they're just trying to keep the bare minimum of what is, to keep some order. They're thinking like that. And then some some people will say, oh, transgender, this and that, and then slowly those things are coming in, and eventually there will be no meaning. What is family? What is not? What is woman? What is man? Nobody knows. So that is where it is heading. So if we actually take out religion, you will have no meaning for anything, and that's where the civilization is going today. In America, it's a huge confusion for many people. What is a woman? They do not know. They cannot define. They say whoever identifies himself as a woman is a woman. If a man tomorrow identifies as a woman, he is a woman. And such man, one man, he became convicted of rape. So he was supposed to go to prison. He suddenly said, I'm a woman. So he was put in the woman prison. He went and raped there. Who is to be blamed? He is anyway an idiot. But the law, what is the law doing? Because when they reject religion, you will have no structure anymore of anything. So the core of any structure is in religion. So law must be based on religious principles. And actually all law is only meant for guiding the people back to Godhead. That is the actual purpose of law, not for economic development. That is Ravana's law. Ravana's law is how to build a Swarna Lanka and enjoy as many women as possible. That is his law. But our law is not like that. Ramarajya means it is based on Krishna consciousness. So those who are useful in this mission, they are actually followers of, like, even in Christianity, Jesus is called the Son of God. You mean God is so important that he can only have one son? No, everybody is his son. But why is Jesus called the Son of God? Because he is following the order of God. Why we are Achyuta Gotra? Is not everybody the son of Krishna and therefore everybody is Achyuta Gotra? Actually, yes. But because we are trying to follow, therefore we are coming under Achyuta Gotra. So when we become obedient, then we become part of that Gotra, part of that family, part of that Kula. That is the meaning of this Guru-Kula. So Guru-Kula actually we cannot give up at any time. Although customarily one may leave the Gurukul and then go and accept family life. But even in family life, he has to be under Guru only. And even the wife has to follow the same dharma. And then the children has to be trained in the same line. So actually he is never out of the Gurukula in principle. Although he may be out physically. He never out in principle. Ado Guru Ashrayam Sadharma Prichha. If just like if one does not have parents, he is considered anatha. And if one does not have a guru, he is also anatha. Actually, he is bigger anatha. And nowadays, nobody cares. So, Rishabdev is showing by example how to perform, first of all, exemplary brahmacharya life and then family life. Going back. Varsham means kingdom. Bharata Varsha. Karma Kshetram. Anumanyamana. Okay, this is one thing. Pradarshita, shown as an example. This is, see, Rishabdev actually does not have anything to do because he is the Supreme Lord. But still he does. And this is explained by Krishna in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. This action by people who no need to act, who don't need to act. See 3:17. Yastvatmaratirev syad atmatriptascha manavah atmanyeva cha santushtastasya karyam na vidyate. But for one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization, and who is satisfied in the self only, fully satiated, for him there is no duty. Nothing to do. And naiva tasya kritenartho na krite neha kaschana na chasa sarva bhuteshu kaschid artha vyapashrayah. A self-realized man has no purpose to fulfill in discharge of his prescribed duties, nor has he any reason not to perform such work. He has no reason to perform such work and no reason not to perform. What do you mean? Nor has he any need to depend on any other living being. Now, if when I'm working because I depend on that employment for my sustenance. Now, Atmarati, those who have attained self-realization, they actually do not depend on anyone. That's why that is a training in sannyas life or even in brahmachari life. What is that? Madhukari. Madhukari means he begs from different people, not from he goes to one person and begs and gets the whole thing. Then he becomes dependent on that person. He should never take the entire thing from one person. He should take from many people so that he doesn't depend on anyone. And every time new, like that, like honey, Madhukari, the honey bee, he will gather honey little bit from each flower. So there is a training to not depend on anything material and depend on the protection of the Lord. Now, although this is the case and it has nothing to do, nothing to perform, no duty, nothing. Now, this is the next thing. Tasmad asaktah satatam karyam karma samachara asakto hi acharan karma paramapnoti purushaha. Therefore, without being attached to the fruits of activities, one should act as a matter of duty, for by working without attachment, one attains the supreme. Now, some people think, oh, my duty is to cut meat in a slaughterhouse. No. We are talking about satovritte, those which are honest occupations ordained by our Vedic literatures. Just like who? Muslims have haram, halal. They have 5 categories actually. Haram, halal are the extreme. Halal is must be done, or I think halal can. There is must, preferred, can, or no, must, preferred, may or may not, and then better not, absolutely should not. So 5 categories. Haram is 5th. You cannot. Halal is like must. You must eat that. Not only on eating, everything. This is not only for food, actually, everything. So similarly, we have also. And in fact, recently, I don't know if it's true or not, somebody shared with me on WhatsApp. I need to check actually. That just like, there is halal stamp on, food and everything. So I think Modi's government started some Sattvic stamp. Is it true?
I heard. Yeah.
Is it true?
One more. Last time green color with a green dot. Right now green color with a triangle. That is no onion, no garlic.
Okay. So so no onion, no garlic. So there is some what is this? Standards that have to be met. So they're trying to do something. But honestly, how far is it even believable? Because the people doing it may be meat eaters, right? So actually Sattvic, they also may not be as, how much are they taking religious counseling in doing all this thing? How much counsel are they taking from actual, religious people who know their stuff versus some Hindu Baba, some, So that's another thing to think about. Just like in, any other denomination, even halal also. Some Orthodox Muslims, they don't even believe everything because I don't know. Of course, for convenience sake, they believe. Like we went the other day to the sports office for the matter of booking the stadium and all that for Rath Yatra. So there was one Muslim gentleman. So Prabhu just asked him, "Oh, you are going to fast now? Fasting month is going to start. So you will be going to the, Buka Pwasa means breaking the fast. They go to the sometime Gelang Sarai. There is their hub, He said, no. That shopping, that is not the purpose of this whole festival, it is to actually become more religious, study the Quran, like this. He was saying like that. So that is the proper way. So sometimes they also, the orthodox ones, they have their own thing. So anyway, one should act as a matter of duty, for by working without attachment one attains the supreme. What work? Again, has to be ordained, not some tamasic work and I'm suddenly. Then next he quotes this: Karmanaiva hi samsiddhim asthita janakadaya loka sangraham evapi sampashyan kartum arhasi. Loka sangraham, for the people of the world. Sampashyan means to show example. Kings such as Janaka attained perfection solely by performance of prescribed duties. Therefore, just for the sake of educating the people in general, you should perform your work. And of course, the famous verse, Yadyad acharati shreshthas tattadevetaro janah sayat pramanam kurute lokastadanavartate. Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow, and whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. Now, there is an important point here. I think this is important, just before we close. Okay, next verse. Name parthasta kartavyam trishu lokeshu kinchana nanavaptam avaptavyam varta evacha karmani. There is no work prescribed for me within all the three planetary systems, nor am I in want of anything, nor have I a need to obtain anything, and yet I am engaged in prescribed duties. This is to show example. Now we're talking about Kula, we're talking about the proper family, proper descendants. Now, if you see here in the first chapter, 140, for example, Arjuna says this: Adharmabhibhavat Krishna pradushyanti kula striyaha strishu dushtasu varshneya jayate varna sankaraha. Right? When irreligion is prominent in the family of Krishna, the women of the family become polluted, and from the degradation of women who are a descendant of Vrishni comes unwanted progeny. Varna Sankara. Okay? Now, what is the Varna Sankara? What is the problem with Varna Sankara? Sankaro narakayaiva kulagnanam kulassacha patanti pitaro hesham lupta pindodaka kriyaha. An increase of unwanted population certainly causes hellish life both for the family and for those who destroy the family tradition. The ancestors of such corrupt families fall down because the performances for offering them food and water are entirely stopped. These are the consequences of Varna Sankara. Doshai retaihi kula gnanam. See, kula, how every word kula is used, you see. Varna Sankara karakai utsadyante jati dharmaha kula dharmascha shashvata. You see, jati, kula, everything is coming here. Varna. You see, here he says, doshai. By the evil deeds of those who destroy the family tradition and thus give rise to unwanted children, all kinds of community projects and family welfare activities are devastated. Now he is quoting all this, Arjuna. Again, utsanna kuladharmanam manushyanam janardana narake niyatam vaso bhavati ityanushruma. The maintainer, O Krishna, I have heard by disciplic succession that those whose family traditions are destroyed dwell always in hell. Now what is he saying? If I kill all these people, or I may also be killed. Now men are all being killed and the women will become irreligious and there will be unwanted population. And therefore, the men should not be killed. That was his point. So therefore, we should not fight this war. So just by keeping the men, this whole degradation of society should be saved. That is proposal of Arjuna. Now the word here in 142, the previous verse, utsadhyante jati dharma, utsadhyante, right? This word used. See, utsadhyante are devastated. What are devastated? Jati dharma, community projects. Kula dharma, family traditions. So jati dharma, of course, jati is also sometimes taken as family and all that. Now, jati is actually by interest. So in that way, community, family also included. If the family has the same interest, yes, it is purest jati definition. Now, utsadhyanta, devastated. Now, let's see what Krishna says. Arjuna's proposal was, if we keep the men, we will keep the sanctity of the kula. Whereas, otherwise we will have Varna Sankara. Let's see what Krishna says. Okay. Yadi hyaham na varteyam jatu karmanya atandritaha Mama vartmanu vartante manushya partha sarvashaha. For if I ever fail to engage in carefully performing prescribed duties of partha, certainly all men would follow my path. Then next one here. Utsi deyur. Just now we say utsadhyante jate, utsadhyante divested. Utsi deyur, same thing. Ime loka nakuryam karma ched aham sankarasya cha kartasyam upahanyam imah prajah. Krishna's answer to Varna Sankara, why Varna Sankara comes, is explained here by Krishna actually. You see Sankarasya cha kartasyam, unwanted population, I would be the creator, karta. By how? If I did not perform prescribed duties, all this world would be put to ruination. I would be the cause of creating unwanted population and I would thereby destroy the peace of all living beings. So here, very important, Arjuna's definition of Varna Sankara and Krishna's definition of Varna Sankara, very different. Arjuna's definition is just by keeping the body, the family members, let's keep the family, stop the Varna Sankara. Krishna is saying, if I don't act according to prescribed, so what is the use of family members being there who are not acting according to prescribed duties? There'll be Varna Sankara. So therefore, such family members must be destroyed. That is Krishna's proposal. Because they're actually the ones destroying the family tradition here. You see? And therefore they have to be destroyed. So I have to set a good example, and then there will be proper population. Otherwise, it will be unwanted population. So it is not just based on sexual intercourse, but actually on character, on guna, on karma. Guna karma vibhagashaha. Again, this highlights the same point. This Sankara, this mixture of course, Sankara also means mixture of different breeds, like even in dogs. Actually, nowadays they keep a pedigree of dogs. This dog was this breed and mix of this breed. But humans, they don't keep anything. This all caste system, all this and that. No, it's actually a scientific system. Yeah, that's why same Gotra people cannot marry. You see, there is India, everybody understands this. Because it will be considered an incest. And it will have even genetic problems. So, apart from, of course, spiritual, mental problems, psychological. So nowadays, people don't care for all these things. And therefore, the quality of the population is going down. And it all starts from lack of spiritual culture. That's why, even if one is following all this Gotra, this Gotra, that Gotra, everything perfectly, if there is no spiritual culture there, then all will be Varna Sankara only. Kalau Shudra Sambhava, that's what it is said. Everybody is Shudra, no Brahman here. Because this is the point. Rakshasa Kalimashrita Jayante Brahma Yonishu Utpanna Brahmana Kule Badhante Shrotriyam Krishan. They just Utpanna Brahmana Kule. That's it. They take birth in Brahmana family, but they harass the real Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. Badhante means they will give hard time for actual Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. They are actually demons who are taking birth in Brahmana families in Kali Yuga. So in this way, we have to understand that the essence of the whole thing is the action, the understanding, the guna and karma. These are the active principles. So therefore, even we are so-called, became disciples of Srila Prabhupada by good fortune, but we cannot rest on the laurels. Oh, I have taken initiations, therefore I am, liberated. No. Prabhupada says the certificate is not like one time, you receive one certificate, now I am degree holder for life. Although I don't remember anything what I read and what I studied in those 4 years, I am now a holder of this degree in this subject. For entire life I am known. That's not actually a qualification. A qualification means you are actually qualified in that and you can use it whenever you want. So, the qualification in our case is our daily performance of the duties. So, I can fall away from that. If I don't perform, then I'll fall away. It's not that because I got something, then therefore I will never fall below that for life. No. Can always follow. So the rent is due every day. Our position is rented. It's not a permanent owned position. It's a rented position, and the rent is due every day. Every day we must pay the rent. Then only we can stay in the position. Every moment, in fact, strictly speaking. So we have to be conscious of this. So okay, I think I will stop here because there can be many things that can be said about this verse, but there will be too much time. So any
Kshatriyas generally, what we see is Kshatriya, they generally don't follow Gulatama, right? They just follow the person.
no.
Even if it is Vena, let's say Vena don't have the qualities of but
That's why he was removed. And the Prabhupada mentions qualified democracy. It used to be qualified democracy. Only qualified people used to vote. Of course, it used to be from the hereditary because they used to have the qualities. They used to have the qualities. Just like Parshuram also, he identified Karna as a Kshatriya because of his quality. Of course, he was also born, but also his quality. His ability to take pain was unmatched. I mean, it was. So that is the quality of Kshatriya. So then he identified.
You said that this Kula Dharma Jati Dharma, it comes under Varnashram.
Varnashram.
You reputed it over before 324. It was reputed by the 240, 140. Because I have come here to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that Varnashram is external. So can it be also reputed by Krishna says that 245, like even when you say described, because as long as we are in Varnashram, we are affected by three modes.
Yes. Yes.
But our Krishna consciousness is based on 324 or 245. Where Tripurna Vishaya, we should directly, because the Varnashram system we cannot impose it, right, in because of Kalosutra Sambhava.
How is 245 and 324 contradictory? I don't.
Because 324 is telling that we have to impose the Varnashram system, rules and regulations.
Not exactly Varnashram system. I mean, it is Varnashram. It's still necessary.
Rule and regulation.
It is necessary because for maintaining the order in society, Varnashram is necessary. Otherwise, society will be a complete mess. So even though we may come to Krishna consciousness, unless one is actually a pure devotee, he is not really out of the guna. Although Traigunya Vishayaveda, Nistraigunya, that is our destination. But our current position is not there. Even that's why there is devotional service and goodness, passion, ignorance and all this. So still, as long as we are there, we still have to follow, therefore. That's why there is Tri Dharma, there is Brahmachari, Grihastha, there is demarcation even among devotees. So that is because we are not in that above the three modes. When we are above the three modes, then there is no distinction. But even then, such like devotees like Prabhupada, who is above all distinctions, but they also maintain. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is of course above everything, but he also maintained to show example again. Kunti Devi is also above everything. She is not an ordinary woman, or the gopis are not ordinary women. But Kunti Devi still said, less intelligent woman, just to show example for others. So it still has to be maintained, even if we are above. Even if one goes above Nistraigunya, to show example for how to organize the society, there has to be shown. And this is not only on the principle of Varna, even in our devotional life also, it is by our example that even, for example, I mean, the temple, what is that? Recently that story was shown, the Guru-Kula leader, he molested and all this. So the post is one thing, but he will only be inspiring if he is actually acting. Otherwise, I mean, people will condemn. So he has to be exemplary. He cannot be just, even though he's above the modes, he just can't come out of all rules and everything. He still has to be exemplary. So that's why Krishna is also saying, I am above everything, but I am still doing it. Our, farm community, cow protection, Vaishya culture, that is part of the. In fact, Krishna and Balram, cow protection and agriculture, signified, symbolized.
But in this age, how it is relevant? Because Palu Sudra Sangho, therefore Chaitanya says Tanakti Dosudikata.
Yes, but but that does not mean we will remain Shudras. If we yeah, we have to elevate. And for Varnashram system is all about elevating a population from materialistic life to spiritual life. So the whole Varnashram is actually a transition phase from the contaminated soul to the pure soul, which is Nitya Krishna Das. So the whole thing is transformation. So if you are interested in transformation of the population, yes, it is by default Shudra. But then if you want to elevate them, then there has to be structure now. There has to be. Of course, Harinam is everything. But then that same point, Jiva Goswami, I mean the big purport, no? 15, Madhya 15.108, 110, all this. So Diksha is important. Diksha means then there is Brahmana, then there is all these Varnas will come. Then deity worship, for that there will be Brahmin, initiation should be there, and then all structure will come. That's why Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was very much into Varnashram, and Prabhupada also said this Varnashram system has to be set in place. Although it is very difficult in this age, but if you want any semblance of sane society, then we need to have structure. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult. Now you see, even devotees, they want to serve, but they are stuck in a Shudra position where they have to work for, somewhere. That's not ideal actually. It's not ideal. So there has to be proper structure to really do it properly. In the beginning it may not be, but over time it has to be set up. Yeah. Brahmana is close to the temple and then like that.
What is the Daiva Varnashram is different from the regular Varnashram?
Daiva Varnashram is by quality and guna karma, as ordained by Krishna. Asura is by birth. That is explained in the Madhya 3.6, I think. The Acharyas who advocate the Daiva Varnashram, the social order of Chaturvarnyam mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, do not accept the proposition of Asura Varnashram, which maintains that the social order of Varna is indicated by birth. It was easily identifiable before in other ages, other yugas. If a person is a son of a Brahmana, he is a Brahmana. Because the training is understood that he will be trained. So therefore, in fact, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says in the Brahmana and Vaishnava book that we cannot have the same definition of Brahmana that was given in Satyuga to be applicable in Kali Yuga. Because those verses which says that Brahmana's son has, a Brahmana is defined by a person who has a Brahmana father and a Brahmana mother. There is a verse like that. But who is Brahmana father and who is Brahmana mother? Actually, purely. How can that be ascertained? Where is the Garbhadan Samskar of the father and mother? So it was not done, then he is not Brahmana. So how can I, So in this way he argues, and therefore he says, this definition is for those that time. But when times have changed now, that definition, no, it doesn't hold water. Because what is the use of something which without merit based? If it is not based on merit, if it is just based on some name, what is the use of such things? They are irrelevant, completely irrelevant. Like that crown in England, king, queen. What is the point? I mean, what are they doing? They're nothing doing. I mean, no executive power, no judiciary or nothing, legislative power, nothing. Just a ceremonial head. So such ceremonial titles have no value. Okay. So anything else, Prabhu? Huh?
He said that the Varna is based on the qualities, right? So can the son of Brahman be effective if his qualities are
Yeah. Parshram is an example of that. Brahmana's son can be Kshatriya. Brahmana's son can be demon also. I mean, Dronacharya is he was actually elder than Pandu. Hmm.
Why Vipura didn't go? Vipura. But the qualities you are working. There's a different caste.
Suta is when the man is of a lower caste than the woman, then is Suta. Yeah, his father is lower caste than the mother. Yeah, yeah, of course, that means lower.
in our Chaitanya Mahaprabhu line, those who become Brahmin by because they not from Brahmin birth, family, they become Brahmin, they call Shudra Mahajana. That's the title they given to them. But the Brahmin is 500 years ago was different. Now,
There is no record of Vidura practicing martial arts, isn't it? He had bow and arrow. Okay. Huh? Okay. Hmm. So he can fight, but maybe not as good. Yeah, yeah. They are not Kshatriyas.
in peace time, they go back to their land and work from the land. And there's a war, you follow all of them. Otherwise, you maintain a huge army, you eat and sleep. So there's a whole system of how to run the government, there's a whole master of that.
Arthashastra.
So everything is, you cannot have people eating and sleeping. How to do that? That's why the king has a lot of land and they go cultivate, maintain themselves. The biggest problem with the Indian thing was that the Britishers came and they took advantage of it because the king was always fighting with each other. So this was the India. And they left by dividing India. That's another big mess.
Now, the other point was the Indian kings were there were not strong enough to actually quell the British forces or rather teach our culture to them.
So they had guns, cannons and guns.
Not just that, I mean, even culturally, they were not strong enough to influence them.
But the system is not like that. The system is this that every king has to be on his own. So if you are facing up, the other king will invade. So Krishna designed it such a way that everybody has to be, unless you are a very powerful king like Yudhishthira, then he united the whole thing. And also still they all run their own kingdom. They have to pay tribute. So this way there's a check and balance. Do you understand?
See, Raghunath Das Goswami, they are telling Rasa Goswami. Gopal said that although he is a Goswami, Sanatana Goswami is not Das Goswami, all others. Because caste is not Brahman. They are Kshatriya. So therefore it is said that greed, not give. So of course Prabhupada is entitled for that from Dasa Goswami. All other Goswami there is no Dasa Goswami.
So we are talking about 500 years ago.
That's why Prabhupada.
Now in our line, Prabhupada has made so many people who go through what this.
Correct. And Prabhu also showed one verse that day class next Sutta Goswami. I think 1086 53. By birth to the Brahmana, one will be very good. But after austerity, right? This was 1086. Sutta Goswami. Because Sutta Goswami is by birth to the Brahmana. So he is exalted, but by austerity he becomes more exalted. That means
He is the pure devotee.
Yes, you are.
Until pure devotee becomes
I mean, even Vidura also was given the same respect, Acharya.
acting. Because they all of them come to play a part now. Vidura came to act his pastime in the Lord. So that their level is different. They came to act like Brahma, who comes to act as Ravana. But not that you are Ravana. They came to do their pastime in the Lord. That's why when Christian is Christian and more practice. But examples are required, just like Sulat Maharaj said, you brought me down to show. Unless there are examples, who will know who is Brahman, who is Kshatriya, who is that? So devotees, even though they are exalted, but still they act on the, just like Krishna say, I am doing my duty. Why? So that I can show, how to, if I don't do, then I should bring ruination to the whole world. So even devotees who are exalted, they still act because they have to show. This is how you should do, Because like Prabhupada, you don't need to do anything but because it's representative. But he still wake up in the morning, he chant, he do this, do that, because that gives us the inspiration. So if you don't do that, as Krishna said, then the whole thing is, Janatana society is a good example. No? Just like now we have an example of the Guru Messina,